All right.
We are here, Maddie Stew with my boy Nate G's. Excited to get this going with you, bud. We've been talking podcasts and whatnot for a very long time. So excited to be doing this with you. And so this is first episode of next week. Just kind of looking ahead at things and getting into it. So excited to have you here, bud. Excited to do this with you. And, we got great conversation. So I think the audience is in for it. And wide variety of everything, too, by the way.
For sure. Let's get it started, yo, man. So what's like one thing you're looking forward to next week?
So next week, one thing I'm looking forward to is, and I say this because this is in the headlines and this is something that's been going on. But what I'm looking forward to is watching the horseshoe truly unite over JD Vance. And I say that because, listen, I almost kind of find it comical because I watched these people for the longest time rip specifically on JD Vance for some reason. And listen, I'm not a Vance fan. I don't know if you saw him on The View. The first thing that came on, the guy had a ton of like eyeliner on. I'm like, who did this guy's makeup? It was, and then he recently said that Joy Behar from The View was a tougher negotiator than the Iranians. I mean, like the guy's kind of a clown, if you ask me. And I don't think Joy Behar is tougher than the Iranian.
I didn't even know who you're talking about.
Good, you shouldn't. But I say that because it's, listen, you know me well. I've been saying it for a while, and for a little bit, more and more people are finally starting to pick up on what I've been saying. If it's not so much that I'm left or right, it's just I'm just kind of common sense of what's of what I think is right and wrong. And I'm seeing this trend, especially the younger voters and the younger generation of this like anti-Israel and not understanding of the partnership with Israel. And so when I watch JD Vance, the vice president of the United States, who served in the military and knows better, I know he knows better. And it's just so irresponsible because he's feeding into his younger base, the kind of Tucker Carlson base of the party, I call it. And when he goes and he kind of threatens Israel, that will cut off weapons, as America will cut off the weapons to Israel, and we're the only country that supports you. I just find it so irresponsible because one, we're not Israel's not the only country that has a partnership with America, and I would say it's probably the most beneficial partnership with military. We give billions of dollars to Egypt, Pakistan, and we don't get shared intelligence and shared usage. And for this, I'm doing a piece on this soon, but for this obsession with no boots on the ground from both sides, that's why I say this uniting on the horseshoe. Israel avoids that in so many cases for America when it comes to testing. I mean, just the other day, we lost 8 American soldiers to a B-2 training exercise. And so I think we take for granted that military costs lives regardless of whether we're at war or not. And to threaten Israel was just so short-sighted. And when I watch, the reason I text you that is because I'm watching the extremists of the left, like Cenk Uygur, who have bashed JD Vance forever, now praise him because they can agree on one thing, and that's blaming Israel for the problems. And I've been saying this to you for a while, and now I'm seeing it kind of go mainstream when the vice president and when all these other kind of lefties. So that's me rambling on what I'm looking forward to, because I'm just going to sit back with popcorn and be like, I told you so.
So what you mean by a horseshoe? You just mean like both sides, both of the radical sides of the parties?
Yeah, I think that, Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna and, have a lot more in common with the far right Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey's than people realize. And I think it shows whenever they talk about Israel. And so I think that the far left and far right, they really can unite over hating Israel and blaming Israel.
Yeah. That sucks.
And it's like they, from the left perspective, it's like they've never, in 10 years, I think they have not come up with a plan other than Trump sucks. And their second plan is now, let's blame Israel, because, I don't know. And then the young right, I think there's a divide in the Republicans between Vance and Rubio. I said it earlier, and I'm on this community chat group two-way. And, I said that, Marco Rubio is like Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's our last hope. I look at from a stance of like who I'd vote for moving forward, that, especially like if you were to vote on the Republican base, I think Rubio is the most logical for where I come from, and Vance kind of scares me. And when I see people that have scared me for a while, like a Cenk Uygur or Mehdi Hassan, who I've watched bash Vance for so long, but then somehow praise him on this, and that's what scares me, I guess.
That's wild. It's funny too, Matt, because I woke up and I saw the headline that that the bombing back in Lebanon started, and I did have that thought of like, wow, man, there is a possibility, and now that listening to you, that the somehow whatever piece that doesn't happen or whatever does come out of this, that the blame might be assigned to Israel, which I think is wild.
It's already kind of starting. I mean, I share a story with you. I might have told you this before, but I was in Israel over 20 years ago when Gore and Lieberman were running for president, and I'm 18. I just graduated high school, and I just went over there, and I grew up in a Bill Clinton, JFK Democrat Party, and that's the kind of household I grew up in. And I went over there, and I kind of assumed that everyone in Israel was going to be rooting for Lieberman and Gore. And it was quite the opposite. Everyone, male, female, young, old, everyone had the same response to me was, no, the world blames Jews enough. We don't need a Jew as vice president. And this was how long ago? And I find it so like, wow, it was so spot on then. And, that's why I look at, I don't know, I just see what's going on. It kind of freaks me out a little bit. But I also would say that, why I say I look forward to it, because I'm an optimist at heart, and I think it exposes the nonsense. And I don't think the rot lasts, right? I think we've talked about it before. I think this rot is gone by 2027. And so that's why I kind of say, let me grab my popcorn and let these lunatics come together and just kind of like, it's like, I watch so much hypocrisy, and I just don't think hypocrisy lasts, and I think that people will say, well, it did for Donald Trump. I'm like, yeah, but he's a one of one, right? I mean, what do you think?
No, for sure. I mean, I don't necessarily have much to add in terms of like where we're going just yet, but I definitely did note that today, because that was like the first thing that was on Bloomberg. Bloomberg's thing was like, oh, the peace deals in peril because the bombing in Lebanon has started up again. So I was like, oh, that's interesting.
I thought of you. I'm interested to hear what you're looking forward to next week, because the markets have been just all over the place. Peace deal, no peace deal. And so I'm kind of like, what are you looking forward to next week?
Yeah. I mean, the big thing this week coming up will be Micron's earnings on Wednesday. And like, I mean, we were just talking about this before we record. Like, what happens in the world doesn't necessarily affect, say, like my day trading, but like in terms of like looking, like in order to inform the day trading, I kind of have to look at like what's actually going on, not only in the markets, but obviously the markets are so affected by Trump and the administration and obviously this war. But outside of that, Micron, which is like a memory chip maker, and I'm not like a specialist or any means, but it's been basically the stock that's been kind of moving the market the most because it's been growing so fast because of this like AI build out. And these are things that like it took me a long time to understand, is that like you would think that like, because they're going to have like phenomenal earnings. Like I think they've grown earnings something like well over probably like three times to four times in the last like year, and they have like an order book that's like so back ordered that they're going to be growing exponentially even more so this time next year. But the thing is, the markets don't, like, you would think that like, oh cool, Micron, I should buy because of the earnings, and they have great earnings, and they're going to have great earnings. But the market has a tendency to just like sell the news, meaning that like when you finally get to like whatever the news event is, instead of you buying it if it's a good news event or selling it if it's a bad news event, the markets already have discounted it. So if it's a good news event, you might want to sell, and if it's a bad news event, you want to buy. And I kind of have a funny feeling, maybe not this go around because it's June and we're in the summer months, but one of these Micron's earnings is going to be the news event, either this one or September. And it's going to lead to like probably some sort of correction in the market, because it's been kind of wild. So these kind of things, like the only other stock that has like this kind of impact it has been Nvidia, which obviously because it's the
I was going to say Nvidia.
It's the AI play, but Micron has been the stock of the like. If we were to do like talking about like sports terms, if we want to do like who's the MVP player of the year for the market, it would be Micron. And so that's why this is so important. Like Nvidia would be like, oh, they're the GOAT, but for this particular season, this particular year, it's Micron's turn, and the earnings is going to be the thing that kind of tells us where the direction of the market is going to go. Definitely for the summer.
Done their big jump. I mean, they're not going to do another 10, 20x, unless
well, I mean, it's the biggest the biggest stock in the market. It's $4 trillion. In order for it to go to another 10x, it'd have to be worth $40 trillion. That'd be more money than is that like the entire GDP of the entire world? It might be.
His GDP is up there. I know. Musk is now insane, but I know.
Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing. Like the monitoring of SpaceX would be. But as a trader, I care about that stuff, but I more care about where the market's moving just in an overall direction. Like if it's bullish, then I'm leaning to buy shit. If it's not, if it's in correction, then I'm leaning to sell shit. So
I said to you before, but it's earlier, I've never in my life have seen the markets, like the economics guys and the guys who talk about behind the scenes, collide so much with geopolitics. I know it always has, but not to this extent. And even earlier, the Straits open, now the Straits closed. Straits open, Straits peace deal 39 times, and then the market going up and down each time. It's I think there's just so much disruption to it that no one's seen. That I've seen so many people who they're just jumping back and forth. They're they're in a pinball machine. They don't know which direction to go, and the markets don't either. And that's when I woke up and I did a little video yesterday that just to kind of I was watching everyone bash the MOU on both sides, pro-Trump, anti-Trump, everyone. And I'm like, this is not even going to make it 60 days. Anyone who thinks it's going to make it 60 days, no way. I didn't even think it was going to make it a week. I didn't think it was not going to make it a day.
I don't think it's going to make I don't even think it's going to make it a week.
I thought it'd make it longer than a day. I mean, so and I saw where the markets were at when he announced the MOU, and then I see where they're at today. And I don't think that this is what he intended. I don't think it was supposed to be this short. He's trying right now to save it behind the scenes. But I mean, it's such an obvious political play. But I would also say this: the Strait of Hormuz is going to turn into the Suez Canal. In the 50s, the Suez Canal was a pivotal strategic point, and Egypt overplayed their card with it, and they had leverage. And it worked, but eventually everyone's like, yeah, screw this. And they maneuvered around, and it's already happened in the Strait of Hormuz. And I said this last week, and I stand by it, that, the MOU was a smokescreen to get some pragmatism out of Iran and see if what's going on over there. And the Strait of Hormuz is going to become irrelevant pretty soon.
I mean, actually, you just bring up a real good point, man, because leverage, especially in my line of work, leverage is awesome. But leverage is never lasting. You can only use leverage in spots, especially as a trader. You can't keep a leverage position on forever, because if you do, you're just setting yourself up for a world of hurt at some point. But the best way to use leverage is to selectively use it and then withdraw it as soon as you can. Because if you overplay leverage, but that's true in life, man. If you overplay leverage on your romantic partner, that's only going to last for so long. You overplay leverage on your job, that's only going to last for so long. Even bosses that have leverage over employees, if you keep pressing that leverage, that's only going to last for so long before they're like, fuck off, man, fuck you. So
I would say yes to and that applies to just about everyone except for Donald Trump. And I'm not going to go there. Hold on. Listen, I saw an interview last night. All right, now listen, and I want to get to what we're not looking forward to. But I saw an interview last night with Mark Caputo, who's one of the best journalists in the business from Axios, straight shooter. And I watched him ask a question to Donald Trump about, have you learned your limits of power? And Donald Trump, which is a straight answer and very honest, was like, no, I have no limits of power. And he goes, I understand the role of the presidency has limits of power, but I have not learned that lesson yet. And I'm looking at a guy who is like, he's 80 years old. He's not going to learn that lesson. He's never learned that lesson in his life. And I'm looking at a guy who just kind of, he's different. He gets it. So like when I looked at everyone, when we talk about leverage, right? When I looked at everyone talking like, oh, Iran has the cards, they have the leverage. I'm like, when has Donald Trump let the narrative become this, right? And so it was just like kind of like people who have like been Trump supporters, like, wait, I'm not a Trump supporter, but people who are like real Trump supporters, like bashing him. I'm like, this is not watch his language, right? Like everything's about, he's all about a post-Marshall buildup plan. Everything that Wickoff and Kushner are doing, why I think they're sending them, they're making billions in buildup. And and I'm going to pivot to what we're not looking forward to from this because we're going to talk NBA. I said this to an NBA coach.
Well, I mean, I was going to ask you, bro, but just to finish on that with the leverage and Trump and him not knowing his limits.
I said this NBA coach about the leverage.
What's that?
So I was telling this NBA coach friend of mine about leverage, and that's why I was going to pivot to the NBA. But
no, but wait, I just want to say, man, we will see because you don't know. Like, yeah, you can say that right now, but there's definitely times where he definitely over levered himself. COVID being one of them. But whatever.
Yeah. He's over levered himself, but he still forces a narrative and refuses the reality. Right.
Yeah, sure. But like I said, like any other thing, if you over lever on any particular thing for too long, it will come back to bite you at some sort of point. It's very possible in this go round that he might over lever himself again. We don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, listen, he can be screwing us up. But what I said this, I was like, every time the media plays the narrative that Donald Trump has lost the leverage with Iran, and Iran has the leverage, it's quite the opposite behind the scenes, right?
Okay. I mean, I got you on that. I'm talking about him overall, but like in this particular thing, who knows? He might end up.
I've been pretty spot on with predicting these things, and I said, I predicted Midnight Hammer within 48 hours of the date, and because when everyone was talking about him and Bibi on the outs, and he was going to give Iran this deal that no one thought was worse than Obama's deal. He says one thing, but he does another. And so I just don't put truth to what he says. I focus on his actions. And so, then Midnight Hammer, then similar thing, Bibi on the outs, he was going to give Iran a deal, and then Epic Fury. So like right now, I would bet if you were took for markets, I said this to my sister the other day, I bet within the next, I said that within 60 days because the MOU, but I think it's going to happen sooner. I think within 30 days, a much heavier attack. It's not going to be a long attack. It's just going to be a big boom. I mean, look, it's going to be like what Zelensky's doing to Putin right now, just destroying their energy infrastructure. And I think Trump did not do that because he was trying to look out for the Iranian people. But I think he is going to go to that next level of infrastructure. And so that was how I read this whole thing. And so that's why I said, I was like, do you really think that Trump's going to let them have the leverage? I just don't buy it. And so, but.
All right. Well, we will see. We will see. Anyway, what are you not looking forward to this week?
I am not looking forward to watching everyone politicize such an incredible NBA moment. Like the New York Knickerbockers winning the NBA championship, and then everyone under the sun having to have this, are they going to go to the White House debate? And it's just like, and I'm really intrigued to hear what you have to say, because there's a narrative that I heard Mark Garagos say this, he defended Colin Kaepernick, and there is, that Trump, especially term one, was very, not well received by the Black community, especially in the sports world. And that there's this duty to Black athletes to not go to the White House because of that, get rid of him, fire him attitude he had towards Kaepernick. And then there's the other narrative that he showed up to the Garden, disrupted the mojo of the Knicks. Like I heard Stephen A say that. And I just guys, do we have to politicize everything? I know James Dolan's a friend, and I know he went and he politicizes everything, but we don't have to take the bait. like, why do we have to critique Carl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson if they're going to go or not go and make it a morning talk show thing? So like, that's what I'm not looking forward to, because it takes such an amazing story and it turns into such petty nonsense that we don't need.
I mean, I feel you. I think that it's just not that big of a fucking deal. But I will say that, like, look, man, there's the part of me that understands the athletes who are like, I think Jalen Hurts was like that, where he was like, yeah, I'm not going to the White House. And I get that. Like, cool, stand on your principles, bro. Stand on business. But the flip side of it is also it's like, well, it's the president. Like, I mean, it's the White House. Like how often do you get that invite? How often do you get the chance to do that? You won. This is the things that come with it. It's part of quote tradition. Like, I don't fault anybody for wanting to go, even if it is. And I'm not an anti-Trumper. I'm not a pro-Trumper. I'm just like, the dude is the dude. But or he is who he is. But yeah, I to me, none of that makes sense. Like the Kaepernick thing, I understood, it's especially for the time, but even that got blown out of proportion. This will get blown out of proportion. Good for the Knicks. I mean, I hate the Knicks. I hate any team from the New York area, but whatever.
Yeah, well, you and I have talked about Kaepernick. I mean, before he kneeled, he got benched for Blaine Gabbert. So
yeah. I mean, him blaming the NFL for his decline is because of his political stance is just BS. Like that was BS. But his initial reason why he decided not to, like, look, I respect it. Like, am I going to do that? Not necessarily. Like, it's a very interesting topic, being, and we've discussed this, being a black man, and then, like, looking at like the entirety of the history of the United States. That said, though, I'm very proud of being a citizen. I am more patriotic than any motherfucker in the South repping the Confederate flag. Like, I bleed this country because I love this country, and I understand all the opportunities that it has given me and the people I love. So yeah, I get that. I don't think that was the reason why he's not playing anymore. He himself was the reason why he's not playing anymore. And just like this with the Knicks, like, they're gonna make the media needs to make something dramatic, but at the end of the day, who cares? Like, it's a basketball team. It's kind of the same of like not letting the Iranians, the footballers, the soccer players, stay in the States. Like, I kind of like, wait, what? Like, these dudes they're fucking.
Well, I could understand the case. I think you'd have to look into the players' history and the team history, I think. And I haven't enough to really come up with a case. I see on the outside not wanting to judge these guys. That's a little different than being invited to the White House. I think, if these guys are tied to a regime that, mutilates women and, does what they do, then I do have a hard time maybe with some of these players coming over here or country. Like I said to my father, we didn't let Russia and other countries compete in Olympics and world sports for when they did way worse, or a lot less worse, I'm sorry, than this regime. So I don't know about that. The precedent is there to not let them compete, just like we've not let Russia compete in the past for war crimes. But
but are these dudes actually doing the war crimes? I don't know, man. That's like
representing it's different. It's not a private entity. It's a country, so it's a little different. But for Kaepernick, you're right. Like, if the NFL they don't care that he kneeled. That's just all political. They care that his arm never recovered from surgery, and that Blaine Gabbert, a NFL bust, was able to replace him before he ever kneeled. And then he had all these other workouts that, he didn't like play the game with, like, showing up at the right, we're going to cancel this and go here. Like, he also kind of, I think, chased some headlines a little bit himself. I don't know how committed he was to getting back to the NFL. And Harbaugh said that about him, his old coach. So I'm just quoting that it seemed like he wasn't as committed and more committed to making headlines after the fact. But I move on from Kaepernick. I wanted to ask you, though, when we talk about black athletes, I heard Hakeem Jeffries then say that when they're talking about the gerrymandering that's going on throughout the country and in the South, and we don't have to get into that. There's so much, but I want to get your take on this. Hakeem Jeffries said that the black players that play in the SEC and the Southern schools should boycott or or go to another school or something and kind of show, use their power in that sense. And I thought that was just so short-sighted. I mean, these kids are like, they work their whole lives. Now you want them to take some political stance. I just, come on, right?
I mean, I don't know about doing that like politically, but I will say that like the beginning of the end of the SEC's dominance is probably happening regardless. So I think that the exit is gonna occur naturally. Like I honestly feel that like especially since Chicago, is that who won? No, it was
Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana. Yeah, Indiana, not US Chicago. Indiana. I think with Indiana winning the national title, I still think they're going to be like, consolidation of power. But I don't think the SEC is going to continually be what the SEC is the way that it's set up. Like I honestly feel like we're seeing things are happening, but I kind of feel like this is like the end of that domination. So like to me, that's like, no, I don't agree with Hakeem Jeffries. Like, yeah, you can stand on principles. Like again, like you cannot go to the White House. Like that's your choice. But ultimately, what I would advise people to do what's best for you and your family, bro. Like that's what's most important.
Yeah.
Not looking for so we can get this done.
What's that?
I haven't said my
No, I was gonna say, what do you know?
Yeah, let's do it. Wait, what?
Well, go ahead. What do you not?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I was waiting for you to ask me the question, bro.
I just did.
Part of the format.
I'm a rambler. I'm sorry.
All right. Anyway, the thing that I'm not looking forward to this week is it's actually not. It's at the tail of this week. It's not actually next week. It's the summer solstice, which I guess this year falls on Sunday, the 21st. And this is actually kind of like your thing. It's kind of like bittersweet. The solstice is the brightest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. So on Sunday in LA, we're going to get like 14 plus hours of 14 hours of sun, which is great, which is dope. I love it.
Thank you.
It's fucking phenomenal. The only problem is, and like, especially because like, I'm a market participant, I'm always forward looking. So when I see this, I'm like, oh shit, this means that we're beginning of the end, meaning like every day from then on out is going to be less bright until we get to the winter solstice. So it's going to get darker and darker sooner and sooner, which is kind of depressing to me. So
that's a sad way of looking at it. No wonder you're not looking forward to it.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I am looking forward to it because it's the mark of summer. It means we're gonna have a lot of like hot, bright days, but it's also meaning like, oh shit, yeah, we're on the decline. We're on the decline. Markets have trained me to look like months ahead. Months ahead. So
we
months
get
ahead.
Great weather out here. What are you gonna do on the solstice? Are you gonna like enjoy?
No, I got work. I'm at the hotel. I'm on the rooftop. We have a pool party. It should be fun. But I'm married to like not married. Maybe one day soon. But I'm dating a proper witch, so I'm sure she's going to be doing some sort of ritual out in nature with trees to celebrate the solstice. And I'm all for it, bro. I'm all for it, man.
I love that. Hey,
I'm all for it.
Prayers from me, and good vibes my way.
Yeah.
A fun chat. This is good.
Yeah, man. We got it under 30. I'm great. I'm great. I'm grateful.
Substack. And then, we got Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can watch some YouTube, you can listen. I mean, like it's everything these days, right? So, where can't you find us? I guess the question. So like, subscribe, share, spread the word. We're just getting started, folks. And we'll see you for
next week.
Next week.
Yeah, next week. All right, bro. Good job. See you, man.